Okay, welcome to Links London and welcome to the Links London Global Headquarters. Today we've got a little restoration project, this Links of London silver hip flask. And the reason I had that upside down is because it's filled with water, and I was just testing, I've been testing this for a few hours to see if it's still watertight. And thankfully it is, so we can progress with this project. Now, I purchased this on eBay for £11.98, and I'll be honest, I thought I'd paid too much, because although the description said it was, I think one word they used was perfect and another was personalised, it was neither perfect nor personalised. From the pictures at least, you could see it had a massive dent in one side of it. It looked like it had been hit by a golf ball. In fact, the dent looked pretty cool. It looked, it was sort of reminiscent. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the designer Elsa Peretti, who did some really cool designs for Tiffany & Co. She did not just jewellery, but also silverware. And I think if we'd have enlarged, the dent was perfectly dead centre, and if we'd have enlarged it slightly, and I'd have told you this was Elsa Peretti for Tiffany & Co., I reckon you'd have believed me. However, they'd have probably got upset if I'd have done that, so I've removed the dent. Before I proceeded with doing this, I thought we'd better remove the dent, and then I filled it with water and tested it's watertight. Success. So we can progress with restoring this, but you'll see the pictures of the before on screen from the eBay listing, because although the description wasn't very accurate, the pictures were. So to get the dent out, I used specialist jewellery tools. Pliers, backwards. The handle got in there perfectly, rubber coated handle just to protect the insides. I've managed to tease out the big dent, and then I used metal handle ones just to burnish the inside of the surface and flatten that off as much as we could. Now, if this is silver plate, if this was solid silver at this point, we could put a steel stake in there and hammer the surface, probably with a rawhide mallet rather than a planishing hammer would do this, and get a really smooth surface on there. Because if this was solid silver, we could use more aggressive polishing techniques, because if we were to hammer this now, you'll get hammer marks in it and they would need to be removed. But because this is silver plate, if we were to go any further than I've gone now, we would still need to use the aggressive polishing techniques to get the hammer marks out, and then it would need replating. I don't want to replate this whole thing, so that's as far as I'm going to go. Good, not perfect, but this is, I thought from the logo on the bottom, this has one of the early Links of London logos where they were still using the of. I guessed this was mid to late 90s, and on doing a little bit of research after it arrived this week, I found the exact same model engraved for the 1999 Australian Rugby World Cup for a company called, it was obviously a corporate gift from or for a company called Dow's. At first I thought maybe it would make sense that it was the port, Dow's port, but no, the no S, just D-O-W, Dow, and they're an American chemical company, it looks like, or were. But yeah, so this is from this design is from the late 1990s. So at 25 years old, it looks it right now. A lot of patina in the form of tarnish. It actually looks pretty cool like this, but we're going to mirror finish it. I think I'll start by putting it in the ultrasonic, just the main body of the flask. I won't do the lid because there's a seal in there. We'll hand polish that. I'll ultrasonic this now. I don't have a jig for a hip flask to go in the sonic, and I don't want to just put it on the bottom because the metal, bang against metal, will mark this and damage the surface. So I think what I'm going to do, again, specialist tools, some cable ties. I'm going to cable tie this and then clip the cable ties onto the ring racks for our sonic. So we'll hang that in there. That's going to clean out the insides. Now hopefully they were using this was used for clean spirits. If they put soup or something, hot chocolate in there, then that's all going to come out. It's going to clean the insides as well as the outsides, and I will then need to clean the ultrasonic. So yeah, hopefully this was used for its intended purpose, spirits. And we'll clean it. That won't remove the tarnish. To remove the tarnish, I'm going to use some, I'm not going to use aggressive polishing techniques on this because it's silver plate. I'm going to use some polishing cream and a soft cloth. And then I'm going to sanitize it. I've actually got on order, coming soon, a new, I've got a drying unit there, which will obviously we can ultrasonic stuff, that will clean stuff anyway. I've got this heating unit here which sanitizes stuff, but I've actually got a baby bottle, a UV baby bottle sanitizer coming, because I've got a few larger pieces like this which won't fit in my small heat treatment units. So I've got one for baby bottles which will help clean, and I've got a few other pieces of drinksware, so I'm hoping like the champagne flutes and that, this sanitizing unit I've got, and by the time that should be here next week, by the time, so we'll be able to test it, we'll clean this, we'll be able to test it out, we'll be able to photograph this and get it in the store, and then by the time, if we do sell it, I'll also be able to sanitize it. I might put some booze in it and test it out myself. Now, pricing of these, I thought I'd overpaid at £11.98. I'm terrible at pricing things, but I asked ChatGPT. I do actually use AI now to do market research and price a lot of our items. And I don't always go with its suggestions, but it's just great at researching current market trends. And I often just get things completely wrong. I see value in things that no one else does, and overprice them, and I undervalue things that are in huge demand. And yeah, this one I thought I'd overpaid at £11.98, but I asked the AI to hypothetically how much one of these would retail if Links of London was still trading today, how much this model would retail for, and it suggested this would have a hypothetical retail price today of between £150 and £200, which sounds about right. A solid silver one would be about £500, and a restored vintage one from the 90s, it estimated in this condition between 50 and 100, which seems a bit steep. I would imagine 50 for this in this condition without original packaging. 100 would be in very good condition with original packaging. So this might not be just we might make a small profit on this. It might not just be a rescue mission, rescuing it from the landfill. There may actually be treasure where I thought there was just trash. Right, let's get cleaning. Okay, our hip flask has been in the dryer for a little while. Now, to get the ultrasonic to clean effectively inside the flask, you have to get all of the air out and the ultrasonic cleaning fluid in. And the cable ties seem like a good idea, but it would have been a lot quicker and simpler for me just to find the plastic basket that fills the ultrasonic tank and use that, because every time I tried to position this so the air would come out and the liquid would go in, it wanted to slip out of the cable ties and I had to reposition them. So in future, I think I'll use the plastic basket, not the cable ties, but we got the job done. Cleaned the inside. It hasn't removed much of the tarnish, the ultrasonic cleaner, but I didn't expect it would. So we need to, we've cleaned the insides, now we need to polish the outsides. Because this is silver plate, I can't use aggressive polishing techniques. So I'm going to use this Menzerner polishing cream. It works really well, especially on precious metals. But you can use it, I think they primarily sell this for automotive use, but I think this was originally for precious metals, and they've later moved into automotive. And I'm going to use this on a classic Velvet cloth, and then we'll buff it off with a microfiber Velvet cloth, or any microfiber cloth will do. And this is just manual labour. A little bit of the cream on. It's like pink. It will very quickly turn black as we rub off the tarnish. Let me bring you in a little bit closer. Okay, our vintage silver Links of London hip flask has come up really well. It was heavily tarnished and now it's highly polished, and it had a massive dent on one side, and now it's lightly marked, pre-loved. It looks good, and you'd think I'd be happy with that, but I never am. I always think, oh, I can make that look a little bit better, but I know from experience the pursuit of perfection somewhere along the way is complete ruin. I always think, oh, if I could just get those those marks out where the dent was a little bit more, but I know what I risk doing is, in continuing, at some point I will make it worse. They will go from small dents, so I might end up putting a crease in there, or damaging the thread putting the stakes in. At some point you have to just accept that good is good enough when you're restoring, certainly pieces like this. And also the polish, it's come up really well. It looks a lot better, but in my mind I'm thinking I could just put that for a few moments on the polishing machine, and because it's got what removing the tarnish has done and polishing it has revealed some micro scratches and marks. And there's a little mark there on the side, and obviously where the dent was, there's some creases, and I'm thinking I could just put that on the polishing machine and use the kind of aggressive polishing techniques we would use on precious metals. But I know in doing that, the closer I get to perfect, what I risk doing from this point on is stripping off the surface, revealing the underlying base metal, which might contrast or look completely different to the silver plating. And you know, I risk, rather than polishing it, making it look worse and putting a big blemish on it somewhere. So yeah, at some point, a key part of the restoration process is knowing the limits and accepting when good is good enough. I mean, after all, this is a used, not just used, a used vintage piece that was damaged and is now marked. 25 plus years old. I guess while I'm waiting for the sanitizing unit to arrive, what we can do with this is use the old-fashioned way, alcohol. We have some Johnny Walker Black Label. Times are tough. We're supermarket's finest blended Scotch whisky. You know, we're open to charity if you want to send us something finer. Whisky charity. Right, this I don't have. We need to acquire a Lynx London funnel. I bet they did them. Oh, I don't have a shot glass either. I have an espresso glass. I think that's a lungo. I'm gonna have not a single or double, a lungo of whiskey. But we need to test. We need to sanitize this after the ultrasonic, and we need to test that it's watertight. I don't think I need a full lungo of whiskey though. What's that? 3 fingers. Right, let's see if this will go in. Needs an air valve. Don't want to spill this precious liquid. Right. I wonder how much this holds. Make sure we're watertight, whiskey tight. Whatever. Wipe that whiskey off the surface. Make sure that. Yep. It may not look perfect, but it works perfectly. I suppose that's the one good thing about pieces like this. Their value is not just in their beauty; it's also utility. Right. Cheers. Tastes all right. I don't know what I was expecting. Ultrasonic residue. Tastes like Black Label, Johnny Walker Black Label. Tastes great. Right, well that's worked perfectly. We'll let that air dry. Right, cleaned, polished, and now christened and sanitized. The finest blended Scotch. Now we can, I'll let that air dry out. I'm going to rinse that out. When the sanitizer turns up, sanitize it properly and write a blog post, post a YouTube video, and that will be for sale in the Lynx London vault. Right, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this little look at the restoration, the rescue of a vintage Lynx London silver hip flask, and I will see you in the next one. Toodles.